Hi, seniors. So for this week's assignment, I thought it would be a good idea for you guys to create, sorry, my kids are playing Legos in the background, to create your own cheat sheet for the AP Lang exam. Because you're going to be taking it at home, AP has gone ahead and said it is open book, open note. The only thing that it's not is open, like you can't phone a friend. So you can't call me in the middle of it or text me. You can't be texting your friends, asking them for anything. The security software that they're going to be using supposedly includes monitoring your eyes. I don't know. I wouldn't risk it. Honestly, it's not worth getting called out as being a cheater and getting that report sent to your colleges, which the College Board knows what colleges you're looking at because you've already told them for your SAT and ACT. So don't cheat. However, you are allowed to fully have a note guide out or any kind of template you want. It's time though. It's a 45-minute time test. So I thought the best thing to do would be for you guys to kind of create your own cheat sheet to help you remember exactly what you need to put in your rhetorical analysis when the time comes. I also want you guys to be able to use this sheet for the next couple practices that we do. So I've gone ahead and given you some really broad parameters here. On your first element, you want to identify the rhetorical situation. So create some kind of table or organizer that will help you identify the rhetorical situation. Who's the writer? What's his purpose? Who's the audience? What's the exigence here? Okay, you want to make sure especially you include the exigence in your introduction. Then your thesis, okay? You want to give yourself some type of a template. You can use a template that I've given you from the Garden of English, that PowerPoint that I put on Google Classroom. You can use that as a template. You can make your own template. Put in something where you would literally fill in the blanks with the appropriate strategies and the appropriate purpose. Then you want to create some type of table that lists common rhetorical choices authors make. So that way, when your anxiety's up, your nerves are up, okay, this is a rhetorical choice. I know that because it's on the list here. And you want to be able to quickly jot down what lines they made that rhetorical choice in. And I'm going to give you an example here in just a second. Then your body paragraphs. Remember, good rhetorical analysis don't identify three separate strategies. They identify it from beginning, middle, and end. So here's what my author does in the beginning, here's what he does in the middle, and here's what he does at the end to fully achieve his purpose. If you go just hunting on strategies, you might get caught up in that Easter egg hunting. And you might say, well, he made an alliteration in lines 4, 11, and 12, and that's really good. It shows he's a good author. No. Okay? You want to make sure you're analyzing the piece from beginning to end. And then finally, your conclusion. You want to give yourself a reminder list of how to write an effective conclusion. And we've talked about that before. So you're just going to jot down some ideas to remind yourself when that anxiety hits, this is what I need to have in my conclusion. Because it's going to be very nerve-wracking. I don't know about you all, but knowing I have a 45-minute time test and I've got to write an essay online and my teacher's not right there with me, my brain would probably feel like it's going to fall out of my butt. So the better your cheat sheet, the more calm you're going to be come test time. Okay, so now I want to show you one that another AP teacher has made. I'm not giving you a copy of it because I don't agree with everything she put on it, but I do want to show you some good points. Okay, so for her rhetorical choices, she's made this list, and you can screenshot this list if you want. That's okay. These are all good choices. Remember, choices are not the same things as strategies. Strategies are nouns. Choices are things the author does. Okay? So you can't say the author uses ethos. You have to say the author appeals to the audience's morality by blank. Okay? Don't say the author uses pathos. Say the author appeals to the audience's sense of anger or sense of fear when he does this. Okay? Remember, yes, you want to know what the choice is, but you want to explain in your writing what the author does with that choice. Okay? And that's why this third column she's got over here is so good. All right, so feel free to use your phone or use your computer to take a screenshot of those rhetorical choices. Annotation. This is where I disagree with her. So she says that you can use your mark-free annotation tool. You guys could also use Cami if you want. However, I don't like using apps on a time test because we all know that apps can cause a computer to shut down, can cause it to freeze. Chromebooks are kind of pieces of... So I think the less apps you use, the better. I would mark on a notebook paper. I would have notebook paper in this cheat sheet out. And as I read, I would jot down what I notice and what lines it's on. Okay. Unfortunately, they're not giving you paper copies like what we've practiced with. You are allowed to print, but again, the time doesn't change. So say you were trying to send this to your printer and it shuts down your Chromebook. Now you're losing time. So I wouldn't even worry. Okay, I'll deal with her. I wouldn't even worry about printing or using any apps. I would use old-fashioned pencil paper to write down my notes. And there's her template for her thesis. Again, I feel like this is a pretty weak thesis. It doesn't go with what we learned about author's purpose, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. I do like how she structured her body paragraphs. So you can screenshot this as a reminder that each of your body paragraphs should start with a claim. Remember, in the beginning, in the middle, in the end, he says this. What's your evidence? And then the part that some people are weakest on, explain the strategy, but then explain how it links back to the author's purpose. Okay? Don't just tell me. So some of you with your Lincoln piece, you said by referencing God, Lincoln is reminding everybody that they believe in God. Okay, well, yeah, but how does that go back to his overall purpose? Okay, and here he's saying that the Almighty has commissioned this war so that slavery must end. So he's reinforcing the idea that they have to continue the fight by saying God wants us to. Okay, I don't agree with her conclusion. I think that's going to be way too weak for you guys. Again, go back to the Freitas piece. Whenever we talk about conclusions, pick out the big idea that this serves, and then either how does it relate to the real world or how does it not fully work? Okay, what's wrong with it? So a lot of you did this with your Lincoln piece on COVID-19. You brought up how Lincoln is pushing the American people to finish the course, okay, which is exactly right. He wants them to be willing to stick it through the end of the war. Nobody knew the war was ending in a month, okay? Nobody really knows when we're going to be done with quarantine, when we're going to actually be safe and what safe looks like. But we do know that we can be patient. And that's what Lincoln is asking his people to do. Don't give up too easily. Don't quit right now when we might be so close, when we ended up being so close. So you can bring that idea of perseverance into the modern world too. Okay? All right. Feel free if you want to create your own version of this too, her mark-free annotation. This is where you could jot down a piece of notebook paper. You could create this table for yourself. It'll specifically help you identify rhetorical choices and line numbers. Okay, so again, your assignment is really just a perk for you. I want you to make this rhetorical cheat sheet. I want to make sure you've got all the right elements in it, and I want it to be something that you can use. Okay, if you want to make it on pieces of notebook paper and use highlighters and markers, feel free. Just take screenshots of it. If you want to make it on a Google Doc, you will need to print it out. Okay, so have some way that you can actually have this physically on your table with you come test time. All right, I love you guys. I miss you so much. I wish we were back together. Stay strong, stay safe, stay home.